Welcome to this edition of our program, Daily Debate. As usual, we will be tackling a very important issue. Today we'll be speaking about the developments on the disputed Ethiopian dam. In an official letter sent on Friday evening to the United Nations Security Council, Egypt has expressed its rejection to Ethiopia's intention to continue filling the controversial dam during the upcoming flood season due in July. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry sent to the UN Security Council the letter in which he voiced Egypt's total rejection of the Ethiopian approach of imposing a fait accompli on the two downstream countries, Egypt and Sudan, through unilateral measures and steps that constitute an explicit violation of the application rules of the international law. The official letter highlighted Ethiopia's stagnant position that have thwarted the efforts exerted over the past months to reach a fair, balanced and legally binding agreement on the dam within the framework of the African Union brokered talks. Also, we'll be speaking about the developments where Qatar, the Qatari capital Doha, is seeing an important extraordinary meeting over the dam. One important meeting was called by Doha for consolidating the Arab Commonwealth. The other is an extraordinary one that was called by Egypt and Sudan to overview the development regarding the dam. Most of the Arab countries have all supported Egypt's right for its or the downstreams, Egypt and Sudan's rights for the river Nile waters, as well as the support of the international community. However, remains to be seen what would be the response of the international community towards the issue. We'll be speaking about that and more with our distinguished guests, Engineer Hassan Shaaban, political analyst. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have a quick look on this report and we'll come back for more discussion.
Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation Mohammed Abdullah Ati paid an official visit to the Sudanese capital last week for further strategic consultations on issues of mutual concern, such as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Both ministers met Lieutenant Chairman of the Sudanese Sovereignty Council, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, as well as their Sudanese counterparts. Egypt, Sudan and Ethiopia have held several rounds of negotiations over the GERD issue for a decade, but because of the Ethiopian rigid stance, no agreement has been reached. Egypt had signed the Declaration of Principles, which is an international agreement concluded between the three countries concerned with this issue, Egypt, Sudan and Ethiopia. There was an obligation on the Ethiopian side not to start filling before reaching an agreement. There is a legal obligation which falls on Ethiopia to not fill the dam, except after reaching an agreement, and this is a legitimate requirement because when Egypt accepted to sign these principles, it was based on the principle of good faith and good dialogue, as well as the rights of the brotherly Ethiopian people in development, and all considerations are characterized and consistent with the norms of international law, contemporary international politics, and development considerations. Ethiopia has refused to allow the three states to conclude a binding agreement and affirmed sticking to a reaching only guidelines that Ethiopia can amend individually. Ethiopia also sought to obtain an absolute right to establish projects on the upper reaches of the Blue Nile River. It also refrained from agreeing on including a binding legal mechanism to settle disputes and effective procedures to face drought in the GERD agreement. The GERD would have a negative impact on the Nile River water supply, and Egypt has insisted that measures must be taken to protect downstream countries in case of drought during the dam's filling process.
Right, welcome back, and starting with our discussion, Engineer Hassan, and we've seen Egypt taking some concrete steps in the past period in order to put the situation before the international community, particularly that the latest negotiations or the negotiation rounds have not led to any concrete results. First, let me know how you view the whole situation at this very particular point.
The step we've taken recently in taking the case to the Security Council in the United Nations was inevitable. We had to do this because we tried to deal directly with Ethiopia. It did not work out. The African Union organization got involved. A lot of the leading countries in Africa got involved. Congo, Tanzania, South Africa, all of these countries actually got involved one way or another to try to solve the dispute between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia, but it did not really work out. Even when the United States actually got involved with the international banks, it did not really reach a happy ending. It's obvious that Ethiopia is following a procedure where they're wasting time to reach a point where they can go into the second phase of filling the lake upstream the dam. We couldn't avoid, this step. It is a must now to take it to the Security Council and present our case in front of the international community, just to get their opinion about this, because if we fail, it will be a matter of life or death for the Egyptians. But we are being very wise, and we're trying to use all the methods that could lead to resolve this dispute. Ethiopia is a country that very dear to our hearts. We thought that the River Nile for thousands of years tied Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt together, and Egyptians cannot imagine that this blood stream that flows from Ethiopia to our country will, have a problem one way or another. So, yes, it was about time that we present our case to the Security Council.
Actually, we have been asking for mediation, for more mediation. I mean, here, yes, very much indeed. We are respecting very much the efforts made by the respectful leadership of the African Union and the Congos, the South African, and up till this minute. And the issue is, let me take it from another angle. Let me take it from how Ethiopians see this matter, because most of people do not understand why Ethiopia is taking such a stagnant position towards this dam. How do you view how the Ethiopian government or regime see this matter, and what is their case here?
The Ethiopians are claiming that this is a local river, not an international river. This is the problem. I mean, as long as the Tana Lake and a long part of the Blue Nile lies within the Ethiopian territory, they consider this is an Ethiopian matter, and it has nothing to do with the other neighboring countries. So they're dealing with the whole thing in a very strange way, regardless of the consequences that will face the other two countries, Sudan and Egypt. And this is very strange, selfish, and I think, our
Really, I'm not here trying to describe how they are acting, but I'm trying to understand the logic behind that.
This is what it
because, yes, because the issue of being a local river, this is a nonsense by all means, because it goes through 9 Nile Basin countries. It's not just Egypt and it's not just Sudan. It's 9 Nile Basin, and this is why they are called the Nile Basin countries, the upstreams and the downstreams, and all those included in it. So we're not speaking about a local river by all means. So this is absolute. When we are speaking about their needs for such a dam, such a huge dam, because we're speaking about a huge dam, right, and we're speaking about 10 years of negotiations, starting with the refusal to the technical involvement from the French or other companies, international companies, who gave the results, and they never admitted to those results. And moving on to starting the construction process and all this. Let me take here, why for them is this dam, which already the technical reports on it were not very much satisfied for of what could happen to the dam itself. Why is such a dam important for the Ethiopian leadership?
Actually, this dam was part of a program that consisted of 32 other dams.
Mr. Abiy Ahmed is speaking about 100.
Well, I think he's a little bit exaggerating, but it was part of a program to construct 32 reservoirs and dams, generally in all rivers. Ethiopia is very rich with small rivers, but this particular dam is built on the right next to the Tana Lake. The Tana Lake is in a position where, when the rain season starts, which is about to start, as a matter of fact, it started, and Ethiopia is a very rich country in water, generally speaking.
It doesn't even need that.
They actually depend very much on rain, but nevertheless, they have the right to develop their country the way they want, providing they don't hurt others. This dam, well, yes, indeed, it will produce electricity, and we do not oppose this. But again, I think the creation of such a huge lake behind the dam there is a lot of exaggeration from the engineering point of this amount of water held upstream the dam. You could utilize a much smaller amount of water and produce the same amount of electricity. But there is a lot of, I don't want to say hostility, but there is some.
You don't want to say hostility?
I don't want to.
Really?
I don't want actually just to look into our brothers in Ethiopia and say things that I cannot really pull back. I would love to see the natural relationship, brotherly relationship, resumed one day, because this river ties us, and we cannot really give up on trying to be brothers. This is
yes. So what you're saying is the logical thinking.
Yes.
We are tied with one river. We have the same destiny. We have the same future. We're supposed to be all together. working for the welfare of our peoples together, because we are the Nile Basin countries and it flows throughout our lands.
Let me shed light on something that took place in 1959. When President Nasser decided to build the Aswan Dam, the high dam, the United States did not really approve of the idea for, yes, there was some valid points, but again, at the same time when President Nasser started the construction of the Aswan Dam, the United States actually assigned the Nevada Bureau for Land Reclamation and Water Resources to perform a study on Ethiopia, on water source, resources and etc. And that particular report is what we are witnessing today. It is materializing. So I think the United States...
No, I can't get this point. How is it materializing today?
This Renaissance Dam is one of the dams that were included in the report that the U.S. made to improve water condition in Ethiopia. 32 dams were included in this particular report. Yes, go ahead.
So you're saying here that the matter did not start.
No, it's very early, yes.
2011 or even 2010, but rather during
1959.
And the whole matter...
Actually, it was delayed due to problems, domestic problems that took place in Ethiopia. It was delayed, but once, the political environment have changed, and I think Ethiopia took advantage of the political environment in the Middle East generally during the Arab Spring. And definitely there was a lot of support from others for Ethiopia to be able to build this dam. I don't want to go into if this dam is from the engineering side is safe or not, because Ethiopia is a volcanic country, and I don't know if creating such a huge dam and the weight of the water behind the dam will affect the earth under this dam or not. Also, the lake is very muddy. And when the water seeps from the mountains that surrounds the lake, it actually carries a lot of mud with the water. And there is a possibility that this could create a lot of pressures over the dam, but
actually this what was said by the French company which was assigned to put the report. This was exactly what was said by...
This will create some water pressure behind the dam. At one time, we should have actually joined hands, and Egyptians have a lot of experience in dams and reservoirs, and we could have actually worked together, and have a program to manage water management program. And we spoke about this some time ago, water management program in the Nile Basin, if everybody have good intentions. But we've heard a lot of rumors that Ethiopia is going to probably transfer some of this water outside the Nile Basin, and this is forbidden.
Actually, the rumors said, or reports said, that they will be selling water.
Well, I don't know about selling, but definitely, there is something fishy going on against all rules and regulations of the international rivers. You do not deal on your own with the river if it passes in your territory, or it actually the main source of water is in your country. I think the international community will have actually to get involved. Unfortunately, the international environment recently, for the last 3-4 years, is changing, and everybody is turning its back to the major problems of the world. There is something going on. The conflicts between the superpowers, China, the United States, Russia is fighting for its own gas. A lot of things are happening.
The geopolitical atmosphere is not really
to our favor, actually. Everybody not given the enough attention to this major problem that actually threatens our country. This is a threat. And
as said by the president, an existential matter.
It is.
For Egypt.
It is.
Right. Let me get here to another point where, before I get into the measures that were taken and what is happening in Doha, and the international community support and all this, let me return back to the Ethiopian side. And I'm really, is this matter a matter of interests for Ethiopia, or is it a political matter? Are we speaking here about a project that will benefit Ethiopia, really? Or are we speaking about a project that is serving the interests of some groups inside Ethiopia? What are we speaking here about?
Definitely, when you evaluate the natural resources in the area, it's obvious that the River Nile means Egypt. I think somebody is trying to massage the area and try to create a new situation in the Middle East. Meaning, this dam could be important to produce electricity, no problem. But again, you don't really need such amount of water to be held behind this dam, because the rainfall average rainfall in Ethiopia is 800 billion cubic meter every year. Half of this is going to the Gulf of Aden toward the Indian Ocean. And if the Ethiopians have good intentions, we all could have actually contributed to a program where we could have had constructed a number of dams along the way.
With certain specifications.
Right, definitely. It needs a good design. And we could have all shared this water, even if we have a new program to manage water without really touching the Egyptian share of water. This will be extra. Then we could deal with this matter and consider giving water to countries outside the Nile Basin if they finance this project. You see, you have 400 billion cubic meter. I think we could utilize some of that in Egypt to grow whatever, cultivate Sinai. Should Saudi finances this project, we don't mind. But providing nobody will touch our 55 billion cubic meters that we get from...
That already are not sufficient.
Right.
Because of the growth of population and the growth of our needs.
Right.
This was not an answer to my question. Anyway, we'll get back to our episode. Before we continue on, let's take this second report. And Egypt always ready to engage in second talks of a dread.